At Sega Fest 2018 in Japan, Sega announced the Mega Drive Mini, aka the Sega Genesis Mini. It's a recreation of the classic 1989 console. This console is going to be made by At Games that had a license and made many Sega Genesis clone systems with built-in games and consoles that could play Genesis games as well. But they always came up short in terms of sound reproduction, graphics reproduction, glitches, frame rate not being up to par. There's always been issues. Even with the most recent At Games console. People have said the controller is okay, that it can use old school controllers, but the sound is still off and you still have graphical glitches. And the new is released by At Games. But the thing that makes me happy about this, and as you can see from the pictures, that the At Games logo is gone from the Sega Genesis Mini, if you will. And it just has the Sega branding on it, Sega Genesis branding on it, and designed a little bit differently where you have the volume control for the headphones. Cool. That's a good thing. And it's a good thing because Sega is taking responsibility of this system. They say, hey, why are they using at Games? They put out nothing but crappy products over the years. Well, the thing is that you can emulate a Genesis on something as simple as a Raspberry Pi. At Games already has the infrastructure in place to build that type of hardware and to distribute that type of hardware. What they lacked is quality control that Sega will provide with this. So Sega is pretty much saying, hey, go ahead and make this console for me, and then we'll be an overseer in terms of the quality of the product, in terms of being it the delay in the controllers, and also being in terms of the reproduction of the games in all aspects of it. That's what's good about this console. It looks like the cartridge slot is smaller than the other ones that we've seen on At Games, so I'm not sure if it's going to play cartridges or it might just be a mini in the sense of the Nintendo minis of the world, where you have games that are loaded on to the ROM of the system, and that's that. You can't play older games. Hopefully, since Sega wants to get back in the hardware business, at least in terms of the retro console thing, hopefully it can still play Genesis cartridges and emulate it correctly, and maybe include some built-in ones as well. Sega Genesis was the first console I had in terms of being a traditional console. I mean, I had handhelds before then, Sega handhelds, had a Game Boy, and then I graduated into an actual Sega Genesis console, plug it up into the TV, and I played those Toe Jams of the world, those Sonic the Hedgehogs of the world, the Mortal Kombats, NBA Jams, the Virtual Racers, Virtual Fighters, etc. Even later on in his life cycle, tried out the 32X. I got a Sega CD even when it was not even popular, not even cool, not even making things for it back in '97. Just because I was just a fan of Sega Genesis, I just wanted to try it out. And eventually I would go ahead and sell that to pick up some other stuff at the Funko Lands, if you remember that kind of place. I think it was Funko Land before it was GameStop. So, I'm a Sega Genesis fan. I look forward to this console. I think this will be a good look for Sega. And since Sega's been out the hardware business since the Dreamcast, since making that Dreamcast in the late 90s, hey, I know Sega's going to bring it. They're going to come correct with this one. They have to. They don't have a choice. They took the At Games logo off on it. They're going to apply that quality control and make it perfect emulation. Period. Point blank, period. It's their time to shine. And this could be a stepping stone for Sega to get back in the hardware business. because you don't have to necessarily spend a lot of money on hardware because you have a Nintendo Switch, which is pretty much a NVIDIA Shield tablet thingy. But what they have is people developing for that system and making quality games. So if Sega doesn't want to compete with the big boy hardware pushers in terms of Xbox and PlayStation, maybe they want to be that secondary console you have, like a Nintendo Switch, and they might want to fill that void in the future and create new titles, remake older titles, progress them forward, get developers on board, etc. So this could be very impactful for Sega. I think Sega will definitely deliver on his Mega Drive Mini, aka Sega Genesis Mini. Hopefully it comes to the States sometime soon. They say it's going to be released in Japan in 2018. No mention of a United States release date or European release date. But I'm sure they will come to those regions as well. Probably 2019. So I think they probably want to test it out in Japan first. But that's how I feel about it. That's my take on it. Look forward to this system coming out. And I'm sure they'll be able to have plenty in stock, and they'll have them right there, those front of the checkout lines and the part, regular, I just say Walmart kind of stores, Target kind of stores, Rite Aids, CVS, those kind of convenience stores will have it right then and there. Hopefully they make enough consoles, because I think people are going to be excited that Sega is actually putting their full weight behind it and not letting that game just say, hey, recreate. Nah, this is Sega putting their hands on with it, saying, hey, no, you're making this for us. This ain't y'all thing. You're making it for us, and we want it this way and that way, and we'll tell you how it's going to be emulated, and then we'll have you mass produce it. That's my take. Iceberg Jim out. Deuces.